Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive, where we kind of sift through all the research so you don't have to.
That's right.
I'm Hari,
I'm Kimi.
and today we're going to be talking about Josette Simon OBE.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, she's a British actress and really, really fascinating.
Definitely a fascinating career.
Yeah, so just to give you a little overview, she was the first Black woman to perform a Shakespearean role at the Royal Shakespeare Company,
Yeah, back in 1982.
which is incredible.
Huge. Yeah, a real pioneer.
Yeah, and so we have a bunch of sources here. We have like articles, biographies, interview transcripts, things like that.
Trying to get a sense of the whole picture of her career.
Yeah, exactly. And so what's really cool is that she actually started acting really young.
Oh, yeah. I saw that she was only 14
Yeah.
when she was in the choir for the world premiere of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, what a way to start,
Right.
just to be surrounded by that kind of energy and music and excitement. I mean,
I just imagine like, even if she wasn't maybe thinking about being an actress at that point, that must have had some kind of influence.
sure, yeah.
Like just being in that kind of environment.
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting because in that same production, she actually met Alan Rickman.
Oh, wow. Small world.
Yeah, and he kind of encouraged her to apply to drama school,
To the Central School of Speech and Drama. Yeah.
which is, like a very prestigious drama school in London.
Yeah, so that must have been a huge vote of confidence from him.
Right.
Kind of see something in her and say, you should really pursue this.
And, she was obviously talented because while she was still a student, she landed a role in Blake's Seven.
Oh, yeah, the Sci-Fi series playing Dana Mellenby.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, talk about juggling, your education and your professional career.
Yeah, clearly she's very dedicated.
Right.
So, so she was doing all this TV work, but, she was also doing theater. And before her big break with the Royal Shakespeare Company, she was actually in production of the Caucasian Chalk Circle.
Oh, at the Half Moon Theater in London, I saw that. Yeah. It was directed by Danny Boyle, actually.
Wow.
And it was super well received, like critically acclaimed.
So she was already kind of getting noticed.
Definitely, yeah.
So then we have this big moment with the Royal Shakespeare Company, and her first leading role there was actually as Rosaline in Love's Labour's Lost.
Oh, in 1984. Yeah, that was a big deal
Yeah.
because that was really seen as a major step towards colorblind casting.
Right, and they hadn't really done anything like that before.
So it's pretty groundbreaking for the time.
And then a few years later, she played Isabella in Measure for Measure.
Yeah, that was in 1987.
And that one got some mixed reviews.
Yeah, it seems like some critics were a little unsure about it.
Right.
But even so, it definitely solidified her presence, as a really significant figure in British theater.
Yeah, so even when she was getting mixed reviews, it was still like, wow, she's doing something really important here.
Right, exactly. Like her performances were sparking conversations and making people think.
Yeah. And then, she didn't just stick to Shakespeare. She was doing all sorts of other theater work.
Or absolutely. She was in a production of After the Fall, which was written by Arthur Miller.
Yeah, and that one's really interesting because the character that she played, Maggie, is supposedly based on Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think about her taking on that role and kind of bringing her own unique perspective to it.
Yeah, and that performance actually earned her several awards.
Yeah, like the Evening Standard Award for Best Actress.
Wow.
Yeah, and she also won a Critics Circle Theater Award and some plays and Players Critic Awards. I mean, she was really recognized for that role.
So it seems like she was, not just breaking boundaries, but she was also getting all this critical acclaim.
Yeah, exactly. Like her talent was really shining through and she was making a name for herself.
But, it's important to remember that all of this success didn't come without its challenges, especially being a Black woman in a predominantly white industry.
Yeah, she's talked about facing both sexism and racism in the industry in some of her interviews.
It's really sad to think about, that even someone as talented as her had to deal with that.
It's definitely a reminder that even though things have progressed, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, for sure.
But what's inspiring is that she never let those challenges define her career.
Yeah, it seems like she really just focused on her craft and let her work speak for itself.
Exactly. And in a way, you could say that those challenges kind of fueled her determination.
To prove herself.
Right. And to use her platform to push for greater inclusivity and representation in the arts.
Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about her work outside of theater.
Yeah. So she's also done a lot of work in film and television.
And is just as diverse as her stage work.
Oh yeah, she's been in everything from period dramas to sci-fi thrillers.
For example, she played Dr. Ramphel in the film Cry Freedom.
Oh yeah, that was a powerful film
And she was also in the television series Seekers.
where she played the lead role alongside Brenda Fricker.
Yeah, that was a great show.
It had like mystery, drama, social commentary all mixed in.
And it was really cool because she was playing a private investigator, which was such a different role for her.
Yeah, it showed her versatility as an actress.
And then there's her voice acting.
Oh yeah, she's done some really interesting work in radio dramas and even video games.
Yeah, for instance, she played the lead in 2 BBC Radio 3 productions, Mirandolina and Dictator Gal,
The second one earned her a Prix Futura Award nomination.
which is a really prestigious award for radio drama.
Yeah, it recognizes excellence in all aspects of radio drama, like the sound design, the writing, the acting.
And Dictator Gal sounds really interesting.
Oh yeah, from what I've read, it involves a character who's trying to revive her dying dictator husband.
Using a bizarre mix of Wagnerian opera and Motown music.
I know, it's super unique, right?
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something I would want to check out.
It just goes to show, her willingness to kind of step outside of the box and embrace different genres.
She's never shied away from a challenge.
Exactly. She's always pushing herself creatively.
So we've talked a lot about her professional achievements, but what about her personal life?
Well, she's known for being quite private.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, she's not really one to seek out the spotlight or court controversy.
She seems to prioritize her work, her family, and the causes she's passionate about.
And speaking of causes, she's a big advocate for the deaf community.
Yeah, she supports organizations that promote inclusivity and accessibility in the arts.
And that's not all. She's also involved with Pets as Therapy.
Which is a charity that uses animals to provide comfort and support to people in need.
Yeah, she actually visits hospitals and care facilities with her dog Milo.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's a really heartwarming example of her compassion and her desire to give back. It really shows you a different side of her, like beyond the glitz and glamour of the acting world.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that she's using her platform to make a difference. So we've talked a lot about her career and her advocacy, but I think it would be interesting to delve a little deeper into some of her specific roles.
Yeah, definitely. Like we touched on After the Fall earlier.
Right, where she played Maggie.
That was such a powerful performance. And it's really interesting to think about the character in relation to Marilyn Monroe,
Like how much of it was based on her real life.
Right. And how Josette Simon interpreted that and brought her own perspective to the role.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to her ability to take on really complex, challenging characters.
Definitely. It wasn't just a surface level portrayal. There was a lot of depth and nuance to her performance.
And that performance actually earned her a lot of recognition.
Yeah, she won the Evening Standard Award for Best Actress.
As well as a Critics Circle Theater Award and some plays and Players Critic Awards.
It was a big moment for her career.
So, we've talked about her breaking boundaries and challenging conventions, but it's also important to acknowledge the challenges she faced along the way.
Right. Like we mentioned earlier, she's spoken about experiencing both sexism and racism in the industry.
Which is unfortunately not uncommon for women of color in any field.
Yeah, it's a systemic issue that needs to be addressed.
But it's inspiring to see how she navigated those challenges and ultimately achieved such success.
She never let those experiences hold her back.
And it seems like she really used her platform to advocate for change.
Yeah, she's been a vocal supporter of diversity and inclusion in the arts.
So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some of her other notable roles.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
Well, I'm really intrigued by her role in Cry Freedom.
Oh, yeah. She played Dr. Ramphel in that film.
Which tells the story of Steve Biko and the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa.
It was a really powerful and important film.
And her performance was critically acclaimed.
Yeah, she brought a lot of depth and humanity to the role.
And then there's her work in Seekers,
where she played a private investigator.
which is such a departure from some of her other roles.
Right. It showed a different side of her acting range.
And I think it's interesting that she's often played characters who are strong and independent.
Yeah, there's definitely a common thread of resilience and determination in many of her roles.
Which I think reflects her own personality and her own journey.
Definitely. She's someone who's overcome obstacles and achieved great things.
And then there's her voice acting, which is a whole other aspect of her career.
Yeah, she's done a lot of work in radio dramas and even video games.
And she's won awards for her voice acting, too.
Yeah, like the Prix Futura Award nomination for Dictator Gal.
Which is a really unique and interesting production.
Yeah, it's a really creative and experimental piece of radio drama.
And it just goes to show her versatility as an actress.
She's not afraid to take risks and try new things.
So we've talked a lot about her work in theater, film, television, radio.
She's really done it all.
But I think what's really impressive is that she's managed to maintain a sense of privacy throughout her career.
Yeah, she's not someone who's constantly in the tabloids or seeking attention.
She seems to really value her personal life and her family.
And she's also very dedicated to her advocacy work.
Like her work with the deaf community and pets ass therapy.
Yeah, she's using her platform to make a positive impact on the world.
And I think that's really admirable.
It shows that she's not just a talented actress, but also a compassionate and caring person.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Josette Simon's life and career, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what makes her such a compelling figure.
Well, for me, it's her combination of talent, resilience, and compassion.
Yeah, she's clearly a very gifted actress, but she's also someone who's faced challenges and overcome them.
And she's used her experiences to make a difference in the world.
I think her story is really inspiring.
It shows that you can achieve great things even in the face of adversity.
And that you can use your platform to advocate for positive change.
And it's not just about, like donating money or lending her name to a cause. She's really actively involved.
Yeah, like actually visiting people with her dog.
Yeah, exactly. It's very hands-on.
That's really cool.
So I think it's safe to say that, beyond her incredible acting career, she's also a very well-rounded and compassionate person.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to see someone who's achieved so much still giving back and making a difference.
Definitely.
Well, as we're kind of wrapping up this deep dive into Josette Simon's life and career, is there anything that's really stood out to you?
I mean, there's so much to admire about her journey, but I think what really strikes me is her unwavering commitment to excellence.
Yeah, like no matter what she's doing, whether it's theater, film, television, radio, voice acting, she always brings her A game.
Exactly. And she's not afraid to push boundaries and take on challenging roles.
And she's done it all while facing, significant obstacles and barriers.
Yeah, she's a true trailblazer.
And I think her story is really a testament to the power of perseverance and determination.
Absolutely. She's an inspiration to anyone who's ever felt like they don't belong or that their dreams are out of reach.
So before we go, is there anything else you want to add about Josette Simon?
Well, I think it's important to remember that her story is still being written. She's still working. She's still creating.
Yeah, she's not done yet.
Exactly. And I'm really excited to see what she does next.
Me too. And I think her legacy will continue to inspire generations of artists and activists to come.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring her career with you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, Kimi.
Thanks for having me, Hari.
And thanks to all of you for listening to The Deep Dive.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you next time.